Okay, I guess typically in the past several years, for most of you veterans of this group, Anwar Ahmad was giving this presentation. He was the bridge preservation engineer from headquarters and represented Federal Highways at all these meetings and gave these updates. He's now the head of the Federal Highways Resource Center, so he doesn't have the responsibility of the bridge preservation anymore. So a lot of the different liaisons like myself from each of the different groups are given this update, and we're trying to be consistent. And this is just an overall of several different activities that have been going on in Federal Highways since probably the last meeting or so. So right now what I'm going to talk about fairly quickly is the Transportation Performance Management, the National Tunnel Inspection Program. I'm not sure how many of you have tunnels or are going to be involved with the Tunnel Inspection Program, but I'll hit on that fairly quickly. The National Bridge Inspection Program and the 23 metrics, we'll talk about that a little bit, and just some training that's coming out for bridge management and preservation, and also SHARP 2. As far as the Transportation Performance Management, MAP 21 has really pushed that and started the transition towards a performance-based highway program. MAP 21 is instituting performance and accountability requirements, and that's going to help prioritize the NHPP, which is essentially the major funding source for the NHS. The performance management is a strategic approach that uses systematic information to make investments and policy decisions to meet these different goals. So related to MAP 21 and performance management, FHWA is in the process of rulemakings, notice proposed rulemakings, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. They're out there they were out there for pavement and bridge condition performance, and also for asset management. The rulemaking for the performance measures was out on January 5th and closed on April 6th, and that was related to performance measures for the NHS, whether they're in good and poor condition, nothing in fair. Typically it's good, fair, poor. We're going to track good and poor. We also talked about reporting, how that was going to be done, as well as there's a requirement in MAP 21 which indicates that the NHS structurally deficient percentage should be less than 10%, or a penalty will be assessed. Because the closure of the rulemaking was in April, we've collected all the comments and we're reviewing those, and we're going to come up with a final rule probably in the coming year. Also, the same thing was with the asset management. There was a rulemaking that was sent out on February 20th and closed on May 29th, and that was to establish the requirements of an asset management plan, as well as minimum standards and things. So we're reviewing those comments also. Now, as far as the National Tunnel Inspection Program, that was also a requirement that came out that we recently went through rulemaking. And as far as that goes, I'm going to talk about the standards, the inventory, as well as the specification for the National Tunnel Inventory, and also the TOMI manual, and some training that we're going to be actually having in the next couple months. So the tunnel inspection standards are similar to the bridge inspection standards to establish uniformity and establish the qualifications and certifications for the inspectors. Also, it talks about how you do your inspections, the inspection methods and the intervals, as well as how you're supposed to do your reports and submit your inventory. Now, the National Tunnel Inventory will be similar to the National Bridge Inventory. If you're familiar with the NBI, this is going to be the NTI, and it'll be implemented in two different ways. It'll have a part one, which is a preliminary inventory, which will be essentially geometric data. It wouldn't really be the inspections and things. And then there's going to be a second part that a little bit later on that's going to be the requirement of having all the inspection data done by qualified people. So the SNTI is similar to the coding guide. If you're familiar with doing bridge inspections, you have the NBI coding guide. Well, it's for tunnels, it's going to be called the specification for National Tunnel Inventory. And the contents are shown in the slide of what the tunnel inventory, the SNTI will have in it. There's also the TOMI manual, which stands for the Tunnel Operations Maintenance and Inspection Evaluation. That's essentially like the berm if you're a bridge inspector and you know what the bridge reference manual is. Bridge inspector's reference manual. This will be something very similar. Now the tunnel inspection course has been established. It's a 5-day course. It's a comprehensive course, just like the bridge inspection course. And it's going to be a requirement for team leaders who do bridge tunnel inspections. The first 8 sessions are essentially have been set up, and they will be reserved for 2 state DOT employees and 1 Federal Highway Division employee, and also some headquarters and resource center and federal lands staff. They're going to be it's going to be 8 different sessions that are going to be around throughout the country. After those 8 sessions, then any other requests for the training will be available through NHI, and that'll be starting in 2016. So here's the locations of the courses. More than likely, I would think that the Boston, Massachusetts is the one that would really affect your staff. Also, a requirement for a tunnel inspection refresher will be made under is in the National Tunnel Inspection Standards, and that coursework is being developed and will be available in 2017. And regarding the preliminary NTI submittals, that was what I was talking about with the geometric type data that's going to be required for the tunnels. It will be submitted or need to be submitted by December 11th, 2015. So that's this year. By August 13th, 2017, the people who are doing the inspections will have to have all the qualifications as program managers or running the program, and then also the team leaders will have to be gathering the requirements through the training as well. So, and the first NTI submittal of the full data will need to be in March/April of 2018, and then as we're going to talk about with the NBI or the NBIP for bridge inspections, they'll start a National Tunnel Inspection Program oversight process. It's the website for the tunnels if anybody is interested in getting more information about the tunnel inspection program. Now, as I mentioned, the National Bridge Inspection Program, we are actually having a rulemaking that's going to be coming out for that late this year, early next year. That's something you might want to look out for. It's also going to incorporate the new NBI coding guide that's going to be in English units. It's going to be called the Specification for the National Bridge Inventory. And also the requirements are going to be outlined, which continue on for what we're doing now, is the risk-based data-driven oversight for the bridge inspection program, also known as the 23 metrics. We started the 23 metrics back in calendar year 11 and have been doing it for 4 years. And you can see from here, these are the trends that we're seeing for the conditionally compliant metrics. We originally started out in the first year with 338 throughout the country that were conditionally compliant, essentially non-compliant. And by this past year, we're down to 145. This is a kind of a busy slide. What it's actually showing is that most of the metrics are getting better. Down on the left-hand side is the first year, and all the way on the right is the current year, and it talks about what percentage of those metrics are actually in satisfactory condition, which means either substantial compliance or in compliance. This is also another graph that you can see about the status of what the metrics are. The metrics, essentially, if you're not familiar with it, they outline every little piece of the National Bridge Inspection Standards. The one that's real short, metric 13, is actually about load rating, and it just many of the states are not in fully compliance with the National Bridge Inspection Standards for that, so that's why it's so low. Now, there's also going to be some training courses that are out there, or actually they're already out there. They're web-based training on bridge preservation. There's also some web-based training on bridge management that's available. And there's the bridge maintenance and training reference manual is being updated for 2016. If you want to get any information about those training courses, go to the NHI website. Sharp 2 is the last thing I wanted to talk about, and there's a solicitation that's soon to be out for the 7th solicitation, and it will refer to this offering of service life design for bridges, which is very applicable to bridge preservation. It is actually a repeat of Sharp 2 activity that happened earlier. And the lead adopters in that at that time, and were in the first time out, were Pennsylvania, Oregon, Hawaii, Iowa, and Virginia. So if you have any questions, you may want to contact them about if it's a good idea to submit a proposal for that. Okay, that was very quick. I tried to get us back on time. So any questions about anything? Okay, thanks.